just happened. Davante Adams going to the Las Vegas Raiders. I thought there was a 0% chance Davante Adams was on the move. I just assumed Davante Adams was almost guaranteed to be in Green Bay once you had the Aaron Rodgers extension. Of course, I'm an idiot. I can't sit here and crunch the numbers on the cap as these NFL general managers can. Maybe the Rodgers money was a little bit too much to make Davante Adams the highest paid wide receiver in the league at the same time. But we have a lot to talk about. Of course, this makes a massive impact for everybody involved. We have an impact for the Las Vegas Raiders. Oh my God, Darren Waller. We have an impact for the Green Bay Packers. No idea what we should be expecting from Rodgers now. But of course, before we get into anything, you know what you got to do. Go down there, drop a like on this live stream. How many other people are going out there and streaming right away for y'all, dropping everything so I can get this going, give y'all my initial reactions, sound like a straight up idiot, and subscribe to the channel only if you play Dynasty Fantasy Football. If you're watching this and you're just a casual NFL fan, this channel's not going to be for you. Of course, this video can be, but everything you're going to find on this channel every single day going forward will just be Dynasty, Dynasty, Dynasty. And I think that should be it. Let's go through and let's dive into this. And one thing that I'm confused with, we have been talking all week, and I don't want to say we as in myself. I want to say the entire NFL Dynasty. It doesn't matter what it is. If you are a sports fan and you just tune in to whatever your favorite podcast may be, what has everybody been talking about? Everybody's been talking about that this division is probably one of the toughest divisions we have ever seen in the game of football. I mean, Derek Carr himself, not a bad quarterback by any means. Patrick Mahomes, unsure if you've heard of the guy, but he's pretty damn good. You can say the same thing about Justin Herbert, the same thing about Russell Wilson. So, of course, I wish I was smart enough to be an NFL general manager, and I'm not. But if I were, I would be managing the Las Vegas Raiders, looking around and just asking ourselves, asking the organization, why are we going for it? What are our realistic odds? Should we be trading significant capital to make Davante Adams the highest paid receiver in the NFL? Or should we probably preserve those draft picks, bring in some rookies on a reasonable contract, then possibly line up our time horizon with a possible disaster hitting the Chiefs, the Broncos, or the Chargers 3 years down the line that we can't foresee right now? I mean, I would imagine our best play would probably be to wait just a little bit. And on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, even if you go out of your way and you give Aaron Rodgers that kind of money, I would imagine, keep in mind, I'm an idiot, but I would imagine you look around at the NFC and yeah, you got Tom Brady coming back to be a 45-year-old quarterback. But outside of that, you have Stafford in Los Angeles. And who else are you really competing with in that entire conference? Not just the division. I mean, I would argue that the AFC West, the quarterbacks alone, with those 4 teams, are better than what you have in the NFC. Like, I don't understand it. Of course, it's above my pay grade, way above my pay grade. But if I'm the Green Bay Packers, I'm going out there. I'm giving Davante Adams his money. I'm saying this is the time. We have a 37, 38-year-old Aaron Rodgers. Let's push our chips in the middle. Let's, front load these contracts and just go for that Super Bowl push over the next 2 seasons while the conference is wide open. Now, of course, maybe they're worried about Trey Lance, as they should be, but you know my stance on that. So now let's go through. Let's look at the impact this will make from a dynasty perspective and talk about what we can expect in Green Bay, what we can expect in Las Vegas going forward. And I will say that, of course, this Green Bay Packers wide receiver depth chart is not settled. Now, what I'm surprised to see is why wouldn't they make this deal yesterday and then go out there and sign Allen Robinson? We've seen NFL teams always go for those in-division free agents. We saw this last year with Gerald Everett going to the Seahawks, yada, yada, yada. Now, I would assume that would have been probably pretty smart to get this deal done yesterday and go sign Allen Robinson, and you still have those picks left over to make other moves. Well, now, I mean, if we look at the free agent market, what are you hoping for at the receiver position? Juju Smith-Schuster, is that really the hope here for the Green Bay Packers? I would imagine probably not. So they're hitting the NFL draft. Maybe they bring in someone like Juju. Maybe they bring in some depth receivers. But something else we've talked about, and I will be the first person to admit, I should probably pull this up. But if we were to just go back a week ago and look at the guaranteed money the Green Bay Packers had with wide receivers under contract this season, I believe, could be wrong, but it's off the top of the noggin, Equanimeous St. Brown, free agent. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, free agent. Alan Lazard, free agent. Randall Cobb, technically signed, but if you look at the guaranteed money, most likely they were going to cut him. So we are looking at this team going, okay, well, they're going to franchise tag Davante Adams, but beyond that, they have Amari Rodgers on this roster, and that's about it. Now, they don't even have Davante Adams to pair with Amari Rodgers. We're looking at Amari Rodgers and zip. Maybe they bring in Jarvis. Maybe they bring in Juju. They're probably going to re-sign some of their current guys if they have not already. But those are depth wide receivers at the end of the day. Aaron Rodgers just signed this deal. We know that Aaron Rodgers has been frustrated, over the past 3 seasons based on the Green Bay Packers not giving him weapons. So I think it's almost a guarantee that the picks that Green Bay is about to get, it's not even reported what those picks are currently, but they're taking wide receivers. I don't see how they get around it. Maybe if they would have been able to sign Robinson, then it would be a different story, but that's not the case right now. So I would say Amari Rodgers, hopefully we made a video about this because we looked at the free agent situation, not because I was smart enough to know Davante Adams was on the move. Of course, I didn't know that, but we looked at the depth chart behind it and said, Amari Rodgers, probably a great pickup for your dynasty leagues. Now, of course, I don't even want to say to go out and trade for him, because in reality, is that going to be helpful advice at all? Because no, the Amari Rodgers owner is not going to be willing to sell him for anything less than a high second-round pick at this point, and you shouldn't be paying a high second-round pick for Amari Rodgers. Did not have a good prospect profile coming into the NFL, and I don't really think you should be selling him at this point either. So I'd say Amari Rodgers is probably just a hold. If anything, if somehow he's on your waiver wire and you didn't pick him up, you're playing in a 10-team very shallow dynasty format. Of course, go pick him up, but that's probably not the case. Probably he's already rostered. Now, let me pull up the actual picks that we have this year for the Green Bay Packers and also the Las Vegas Raiders, and let's just kind of speculate with where they're going to be drafting. So, Las Vegas, I forgot, they were a playoff team. Their first-round pick is the 22nd pick overall. Then Green Bay doesn't pick until 28. So, if they're getting picked 22 and 28, what receivers are going to be available? I would imagine no Drake London, no Garrett Wilson. Now, Treylon Burks, the dynasty community is higher than the NFL draft. Definitely a possibility Treylon Burks finds his way to pick 22. Probably likely that Treylon Burks is not selected before then. So, they're probably looking at Treylon Burks, Chris Olave, Jahan Dotson, like the wide receivers in that tier. Of course, I don't want to say any rookie wide receiver is going to live up to Davante Adams, but it's just very interesting that Rodgers has been pissed for I don't know how long now about not having weapons here, and all of a sudden they get rid of his best option. And really, if you look at the draft room, I guess what they could do, if you think of it from a personnel standpoint, what they'll need is to bring back Marquez Valdes-Scantling, give this offense a vertical element, have a wide receiver to work closer to the line of scrimmage. There are 2 guys still in free agency, in Jarvis Landry and Juju Smith-Schuster, that can play that flanker type slot wide receiver role. So those are definitely possibilities for them to be able to bring those options in. And they probably need to go out there and get that alpha X wide receiver. So maybe they go and get someone like Treylon Burks. I think that could make a lot of sense if you're looking at a personnel package. Of course, it's going to make the offense worse. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, Mason, should we be bumping up the running backs here? Is this meaning that they're going to be looking to run the ball more often? That's definitely a possibility. I don't want to act like it's not. And I would say that the touchdown equity for someone like A.J. Dillon's most likely going to be going up in this offense, because what else is going to happen when they get to the goal line, when they just traded away the best red zone receiver that the NFL has had over the past 5 seasons? So yes, I'd imagine the touchdown equity would get a bump up if you're looking at the percentage of the offense. Say if you were projecting A.J. Dillon to have 9 to 12% of the overall touchdowns in Green Bay this upcoming season, probably a lower number than that, but nonetheless, let's use this hypothetical scenario. You're probably bumping up those projections to be what now, 11 to 15%? Of course, making up those numbers, but they're getting bumped up just slightly because Davante Adams has such a high usage rate in the red zone in particular. But without Davante Adams in this offense, I would be willing to say, not an NFL coach by any means, not by any stretch of the imagination, but I'd be willing to say that this offense most likely is going to have to slow down the pace of play. This offense will most likely have to really just focus on limiting turnovers, and this team will have to focus on playing good defense. And we are going to have less trips to the red zone. So even if the red zone opportunities from a percentage standpoint takes a tick up for both running backs with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon on this roster, the red zone opportunities overall for the team, I would imagine with the efficiency of this offense going down with no Davante Adams, will offset that. And if anything, will probably hurt these running backs a little bit more than it helps. Aaron Jones, a little bit of a different story. I'd imagine his target share ends up going up without Davante Adams in this offense. So I think you could make the argument for this potentially helping Aaron Jones. A.J. Dillon, on the other hand, I don't necessarily think it. And real quick, I see someone in the chat says, why did the Packers hate Aaron Rodgers? I promise you, do not think that the Green Bay Packers went out there and signed Aaron Rodgers to this deal and then all of a sudden screwed him like this. I promise you, Rodgers knew about this. He signed off on this. Okay. There's a 0% chance that they know how disgruntled Aaron Rodgers is, and then they go out there, sign him to that mega extension, and then trade Davante Adams right after. Of course, these teams, they talk to each other. Rodgers is talking to the general manager. Davante Adams is talking to Rodgers. It's not like, we are all on the same playing field with the knowledge that we have. Davante Adams has probably saw this coming for quite a while now as well. So let's not act like, oh, they screwed Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers signed off on this. He signed to Green Bay with the knowledge that this was going to happen. Okay. So I think that we've covered a decent amount with what's going on in Green Bay. Of course, you are having to move down Aaron Rodgers in your rankings. I will be looking at these dynasty rankings later on, but let's go over to the Las Vegas Raiders and Hunter Renfrow, dead. Completely dead. Not only were you having Darren Waller come back this upcoming season, Darren Waller averaging 9 targets a game last year. He was always going to be the number 1 receiving option on this offense if you're looking at the target share that these players were going to command. But with Hunter Renfrow as well, where does he operate? Closer to the line of scrimmage, kind of as a just pure slot receiver. And Davante Adams, he's not Tyreek Hill. Davante Adams isn't that prototypical ex-alpha wide receiver getting targeted 20 yards down the field. Davante Adams is actually, I want to say, a pseudo X receiver, pseudo flanker. Now, of course, they can use him in a different role, but Davante Adams derives the majority of his value based on that red zone usage. Hunter Renfrow is going to have no shot to keep up the touchdown rate he had last year. No shot to keep up, the overall target share with Darren Waller coming back healthy, with the Davante Adams emergence. So you have to just plummet Hunter Renfrow in your rankings. Now to go over to Darren Waller. Of course, Darren Waller is going to have to take a hit as well. With Darren Waller, this is a tight end that I honestly thought was a decent value, because if you looked at the touchdown volatility that he has had season to season, he was most likely bound for some positive touchdown regression this upcoming season based on that target share. But with Davante Adams in that usage rate in the red zone in particular, and of course, I know a lot of people probably want to at least hear me talk about the fact that Derek Carr and Davante Adams were college teammates. I don't think that really plays an impact that much. It's always so funny, people talking about, oh, they were teammates in college, where, come on, Darren Waller has been a teammate with Derek Carr over the past 3-4 seasons now. I'd imagine he probably has better chemistry at this point than what Derek Carr and Davante Adams do. Same thing with Hunter Renfrow. So let's not overreact because they were teammates in college by any means, but we should overreact because Davante Adams is an elite talent at the receiver position. So you have to move Darren Waller down, both in redraft and in Dynasty. You have to plummet Hunter Renfrow down. And I honestly think you probably have to move Josh Jacobs down as well, because one of the best calling cards for Josh Jacobs over the past 2 seasons, 2 years ago in particular, Josh Jacobs led the NFL in red zone carries. This was a team that was looking to run the ball consistently when they got inside the 10-yard line. However, now I don't necessarily think that's going to be their optimal play calling. Of course, I'm not an NFL coach. I wish I was, but I'm not smart enough. Okay. So I would imagine they do decide to skew a little bit more pass happy with the best red zone receiver in the NFL coming in. So I think if anything, while yes, they should have more trips to the red zone with a healthy Darren Waller and Davante Adams coming in, there's no way in hell we ever see Josh Jacobs lead the NFL in red zone carries at the same time. So I think this probably hurts Josh Jacobs just slightly. The offense will be more productive overall, so it does offset it. But Jacobs in particular, I think, is hurt differently compared to what other running backs were, because the majority of his value was derived off those touchdowns. Okay, so now we have Be Good to Others coming out in the chat, says, what do you think of Derek Carr in Dynasty right now? Of course, you are having to dramatically move Derek Carr up your rankings. Not only does he get one of the best weapons you can have in the NFL, but at the same time, this is a team that's probably going to get into a lot of shootouts. Like, think about Derek Carr. He has 6 games a year going up against Mahomes, Herbert, and Russell Wilson. 6 games a year where he's going up against, probably top passing offenses. I don't necessarily want to say that's a guarantee with Denver. Maybe they decide to go back to vintage Russell Wilson and kind of play through their defense and their efficiency, but you get the point. There are 6 potential shootouts right away. Now, one thing that I will always bring up with these quarterbacks that I know people don't like me talking about, but is going to be some rushing upside, which Derek Carr just does not have. Now, that being said, it doesn't really matter if you're looking at Derek Carr having the stability of that guaranteed job, and at the same time, Derek Carr having these weapons. So I'm just updating these rankings right now, talking through this. Let me know what y'all think in the chat. But from a dynasty perspective, I currently have Derek Carr ranked right behind Zach Wilson, Kirk Cousins, Tua Tagovailoa, Matt Corral, and Kenny Pickett. I think Derek Carr has to jump through. It's hard putting him ahead of those rookies, though, just because how the dynasty community reacts overall when those rookies hit year 1. They actually have the potential to get up to be second-round startup picks, where even if Derek Carr comes out to low-end quarterback 1 in fantasy this year, still, it's not like his value in dynasty is going to be increasing that much, because just he's capped overall at this point of his career with where his ADP and trade value can go. So I want to move him ahead of the rookies. I don't even know why I have Tua Tagovailoa ranked this high. I have to move Tua down. There's no reason for me to have Tua ranked ahead of Derek Carr. Okay, so let's sit here. This is really tough. Okay, so yeah, we have Tua behind Carr. Please let me know right now, who do you prefer between this 3 grouping of players? Kirk Cousins, Kenny Pickett, Derek Carr. Everybody spam the chat right now, just with the one guy you prefer. That way, if I see that we have a little bit of a balance here, I know we're in the ballpark. And I can, of course, look at this later tonight, and all these rankings will be updated on Locals. I can get that Locals link out to y'all. I know we've had some people saying, oh, Mason, your rankings aren't free on Locals right now. You lied to us. They are free. Literally, just go to the page, scroll down to the post I made 2 days ago that is titled Free Rankings. Okay, so everybody in the chat is screaming Carr. Everybody. I think we have one message saying Cousins. That's just really... I agree that I think Derek Carr is by far and away the highest floor player out of this grouping. Maybe I am not giving the dynasty community enough credit with how they may actually end up moving Derek Carr's value with a successful season. So you know what? I'm fine moving Derek Carr to the top of this tier. He's not going to be able to get in the tier of Malik Willis, Mac Jones, Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields. He's going to have to stay down here, but I'm completely fine if we want to move him above these players. And probably we should, because Davante Adams, you could easily make a strong argument that Davante Adams is the top receiver in the NFL. I mean, based on what we have seen with the consistency over the past 4 seasons. Davante Adams still in his prime, drafted in 2014, I believe. He is currently 28 years old. I know he was drafted in 2014, but let me check to make sure that he's 28. No, 29. I apologize. He is 29. But nonetheless, you are going to be getting Davante Adams. And I think Davante Adams will actually probably age better than some of these other receivers, specifically compared to someone like Tyreek Hill, because Davante Adams doesn't win with elite athleticism. Instead, he wins with his ability to not even create separation. More so, just win at the catch point and just be that effective player in the red zone. And I know y'all don't like me talking about it. And you know, I always say, touchdowns regress, touchdowns regress, touchdowns regress. Fade the player coming off a season that has had, way too many touchdowns compared to their targets. But if you look at Davante Adams, I apologize. Davante Adams is one of the rare exceptions. 11 receiving touchdowns this past season. 18 in 2020. And that's with an injury missing some time. 2018, 13 touchdowns. 2017, 10 touchdowns. 2016, 12 touchdowns. Davante Adams is one of the very rare players that you know the touchdown rate is going to be significantly higher than league average. Okay. I believe that should be it for this live stream, for this initial reaction. Of course, I will dive much deeper into this, look at the actual numbers with what we've seen from Davante Adams as of late, look at what we may be able to project from this offense with the Las Vegas Raiders, maybe map out some NFL mock drafts, see what the Green Bay Packers can do. I'll be probably uploading a video on this in 2 days. Tomorrow, I want to get a mock draft going that people can get a part of. That way we can see where people are valuing players like Derek Carr, valuing players like Aaron Rodgers, and valuing players like Davante Adams. So please make sure you go down there, drop a like in this live stream, subscribe to the channel. And if you want to be a part of the mock draft tomorrow, I'm going to be posting that link on Locals. I'll post that link as a free link and as a reminder because, we just passed 13,000 subscribers and y'all been smashing that like button. All our rankings are going to be free on Locals for the rest of the week until Sunday. So please make sure y'all take advantage of that. They are not behind the paywall. Thank you again. Hope you have a great day and hope we get to see you with that live stream where we're going to be drafting these players tomorrow.